Good morning, friends. Good evening, friends. Okay, we'll continue with what we were doing. I am visible and audible to all of you. Okay, so we were going to talk about classical period, and classical period is a very important period in geographical development because, as we said, foundations of modern geographical thoughts were laid here. Foundations of the modern geographical thoughts were laid. Rahul, I'll talk to you later on. Class के बाद remind me class after the class. This is not the point. Yogesh, you will not be able to understand. Yogesh is asking what is difference between regional geography and regional approach. You will not be able to understand it at this point of time. When areal differentiation will come, then we'll talk about that. Okay. So foundations of modern geographical thoughts were laid. Two very important people were present during this period, and one was, as you can see, just 1 minute. Let me put my mobile on silent mode. And as you know, two very important people. One was Bernhard Verenius. Bernhard Verenius. Now, if we talk about the Bernhard Verenius, he is a very important figure in geographical thoughts due to number of reasons. One very important basic aspect was he wrote a book by the name of Geographia Generalis. Geographia Generalis. Okay. So, Geographia Generalis, if you talk about, see, in his Geographia Generalis, he divides the scope of geography. He talks about there are two type of geography. One type of geography is what he calls it as the general geography, and the second type of geography he talks about is special geography. General geography and special geography. Okay. Now, importantly, what he does, he talks about the development of geography, and he says that geography is full of dichotomies and dualism. It is full of dichotomies and dualisms. And if you talk about these dichotomies and dualisms, he identifies first dichotomy dualism. One was basically physical geography versus special geography. Human geography. And the second one was, as we said, general versus special geography. General geography versus special geography. Okay. So, if you talk about this is very, very important contribution of Bernhard Verenius, because see what he does here. In these dichotomies, if you talk about Verenius, he clearly favors general geography over special geography and physical geography over human geography. Okay. And it becomes very, very clear that when he writes in his book that geography should mainly focus on development of the general geography, of the general theme, and special geography should serve as a footnote for general geography. So, very clearly you see what he is saying, footnote. That means from this writing it very clearly appears, or it appears that he is saying that special geography is subordinate to general geography. General geography to him seems to be more superior than special geography. Now, question comes to mind why he was talking about like this. There are a number of reasons for that. First most important thing that he Verenius believes is, Verenius' objective was to develop the science of geography. Objective was to develop the science of geography. That was his ultimate objective. Now, in order to do so, he believed that it is physical geography which is studied through general methods where the scientific technique can be utilized or scientific methodology can be utilized. Okay, so according to him, it is physical geography where objectivity can be ultimately attained, and this should be studied where it should be studied through the general approach. Yeah, here I have written actually method, you just replace it with approach where the scientific method can be utilized. Okay, and that is why he favored physical geography and the general geography over human geography. He was of the view that humans enter geography in its special part, that is special geography, that is regional geography, in its special parts. And why they are entering in the special parts? Because he feels that humans are too dynamic to be subjected to scientific or the objective method of analysis. So very clearly you can understand that to him what is the basic case, that because humans, we are so much dynamic that we cannot be subjected to such kind of objective inquiry. Our thoughts, our value system, our behavior, these cannot be studied objectively or scientifically. Okay, you need different type of methods to study them. So he believed that thus human geography or humans should be studied in the special part of geography. Okay, so this is what essentially Verenius says. And tell me, can we say that from this it appears that, as we wrote before, that Verenius favors general geography over special geography and physical geography over human geography? Yes or no? We can, however, say, you see, despite his favor towards general and physical geography, what we need to understand? We need to understand that geography was in its nascent stage of development. So it was it was in its infantile stage. Okay, it was just emerging as a discipline. Okay, so can I say if it is in nascent stage or infantile, you can use also the word infantile stage, can we say that it was necessary during this period that it had scientific outlook? during this period that it developed as a science. And tell me, if geography was to develop as a science, where you think that it was more easy, a more shortcut way of becoming a science? Tell me. It is obviously the physical. So, development, that means development of physical geography through adoption of general approach seemed to guarantee this scientific status to geography. Scientific status to geography. Okay. So, can we agree on this? Yes, we can agree on this. But does this means that Varenius was against human geography and special geography? So, we can definitely say, however, this does not mean that he considered human geography and human geography studied through special approach as not being important to geography, This is clear from the fact that he writes. This becomes clear in his writings that he is writing that special geography has great significance to the administrators. It has great significance to the administrators. Okay. So, which clearly shows that he also wanted that special geography should be developed. But because he was very much aware that there are that development of special geography as a science would require lots of time. Okay. So, it was better for the geography to adopt or to get that scientific status. It would get that scientific status more quickly if it adopted physical geography as its base, or it developed physical geography first and then focus upon, or simultaneously keep focusing upon special geography. Okay. So, that is why he is writing all these things which here. And someone asked, is it implied or it is clearly told? We don't know. Basically, we know that this is what he has written. So he has used the word in German language footnote for general geography. Okay, so this we know. Now we can draw n number of conclusions from this statement. ठीक है, we can draw n number of conclusions from this statement. General geography, special geography कल ही बताया था यार. What is general geography and special geography? General geography is systematic geography or systematic approach, and special geography is the regional approach. ठीक है. So can you understand now one very important thing, that see, it is something like suppose there are two children, and parents, suppose they are, generally it happens that they are more harsh on the elder one and they are more soft towards the younger ones. It normally, very commonly happens. So what will happen, suppose family is there, these 4 people are there. So ultimately what happens, someone outsiders comes and वो outsider देखेगा और फिर what will happen, he will tell that elder son to ultimately that देखो how much discrimination they are doing with you, they are not loving you. Okay, so something like this. Despite everything, here Verenius is very clear that both the geography, ये फालतू का ये वाइफ वाला बात मत करो यहाँ पर. Why you have to say wife? Outsider is equal to wife. I don't agree with you, really. Why you have to demonize women? Everyone have their own destiny in their hand. They are the decision makers. So all the bad things in our society, why they are put on women, it is really bad. You should not adhere to such beliefs. Okay, so it is same thing. He was very clear that general geography and special geography both are part of geography. If they were not, why he was writing in his book? If they were not, he has written several regional memoirs on or various areas. So why he was writing regional geography of regions? Why he was mentioning in his book about special geography, about regional geography? Why he was mentioning human geography? And why he was saying that special geography has great significance for the administrators? Okay, the only thing, his only objective, which very clearly you can get from the title of the book, Geographia Generalis, in initial first chapter itself, he talks about that there is need to develop geography scientifically. And you can understand, you can link it with the Renaissance that I talked about, if you remember, whether we don't know whether it is a gift or a curse. Because the society had become too much oriented towards objectivity, towards more rationality. But in reality, many things cannot be made objective. Okay? So very clearly, why Verenius wants? Because he knows very well that if geography doesn't develop scientific method, then what will happen? Its development would stagnate, and maybe it would not be able to emerge as an independent discipline. Okay, maybe people will not pay attention to it. It will not get the same respect as other branches of knowledge will be getting. Okay? And that is why he says that it is better you first develop the general physical geography using general approach, and then you focus upon also development of human geography through special approach. Because he was very clear that there are two methods of learning, one is scientific method, another is the philosophical method, and you cannot apply the scientific methods to the human beings because they are too dynamic. Okay? So that is about Bernhard Verenius. So suppose if one question comes, suppose there is one question that, or we'll just do it after we talked about Kant. एक क्वेश्चन करते हैं. So that is one classical period, one person. So very clearly you see, has he laid the foundations of general and special geography? That is, if you talk about systematic versus regional geography, this debate still continues. We'll see throughout the development of geography, this debate has continued. Has he laid the foundation of dichotomy dualism between physical and human geography? We'll see in 1990s, there was a period when it seemed that physical geography and human geography would become separate disciplines, two independent disciplines. So much dichotomy developed that there was threat of a split between in these two branches of geography. So the difference that was identified by Verenius so much back, this difference is now very clearly even now present. Okay, he very clearly identifies the methods of study. We'll talk about throughout. There has been debate between in whether geography should be adopting the scientific methods or the philosophical methods of study. Okay, so that is why we said the foundations of the geography were modern geography were laid here. The notes which we done yesterday, historical development, so I can learn all these, or it's only for general knowledge we have to read only. If it was for general knowledge, मैं इतनी मेहनत क्यों कर रहा होता यार? Tell me why I would have been working so hard in this part. Yesterday also I told you that this is the part which no one teaches you. They skip because they don't know many of these things. Verenius के बारे में, if you ask people, they will not be able to give you this much clarity about Verenius, what he is saying. Even if you read, for example, books like Majid-Hussain, etc., you will not get this much clarity about Verenius. Okay, but to understand how geography has developed over a period of time, you need to understand the roots from where all the themes that we'll be studying later on. You need to understand the roots of these. Okay? Okay. So that is about Bernhard Verenius. Now, if we talk about Immanuel Kant, so very clearly you can understand Kant needs no introduction. Kant's figure is so much taller in the academics that almost all the disciplines try to say that Kant was his. Okay? So it is something like that. He is so big philosopher that all the disciplines associate with his writings, and geography also cannot remain isolated. So if we just see what Kant had to say. So Verenius के बारे में हमने देख लिया. You can understand that very clearly. Hartshorne, we'll see Richard Hartshorne later on, a very, very important scholar during the modern period in United States of America, and in his book, he has written a very, very famous book, Nature of Geography. So in his book, Nature of Geography, he writes that the task of geography is essentially Kantian. He further writes that geography originates from Kant and ends with Kant. So much you can understand, he appreciates Kant. So, why he was appreciating Kant, we'll see. So, very important thing which Kant has done, Immanuel Kant, he basically identified geography. Kant was actually involved in Satish is asking, can dichotomy and dualism be used interchangeably in answers? Sometimes can be, sometimes cannot be. We will see. Still, we haven't started dichotomy dualism. When I will teach it, you will better understand. Okay, so have some patience. Okay, so Immanuel Kant, so he was essentially what? He was involved in, he took a very big task. And what was the task which he took? He took the challenge of classification of knowledges into various branches. Classification of knowledges into various branches. So, he classified, because if you remember, we said by this time, before this time, there was hardly any discipline, a special disciplines didn't existed. Okay, it was all knowledge. But with the Renaissance period, what happened? There was explosion of information, and it became ultimately necessary that now ultimately the knowledge should be divided into various disciplines. Okay, and this classification, one of the classification was done by Kant, Immanuel Kant. Okay, so classification of knowledges into various branches, or you can also write disciplines. While he was doing so, what he did? He ultimately found that geography and history could not be placed into any category. So, two disciplines, that is geography and history, they could not be placed into any category. So, these were basically what? A kind of exceptional disciplines. Why they were exceptional disciplines? Because see, all other if you talk about all other disciplines which were there, they had their own subject matter. So, all other disciplines had their own subject matter, but geography and history did not had their own subject matter. In fact, what they did, they shared subject matter with other disciplines. their subject matter with other disciplines. Okay. And that is why Kant felt that thus what was required, thus these two disciplines were to be organized around approach of study and not the subject matter. So you can understand, in our geography what we study, we are studying so many different themes. We are studying environment, we are studying other areas, like we are studying social aspects, we are studying economic aspects, we are studying political aspects. Okay, so many different variety of things we study within geography. So geography is amalgam of subject matters. Okay. So thus what he felt, that these two should be organized around approach of study and not on the subject matter, like we know very well that when you are studying physics, you are concerned about the matter, okay, non-living matter and the laws which are governing it. When you are studying chemistry, you know, you are more focusing upon the internal laws of the matter. When you are studying biology, you know, you are studying living beings. Okay. When you are studying economics, you are studying the economic aspects. Sociology, the social aspects. So every discipline has its own core subject matter. But when it comes to geography, geography is devoid of any such core subject matter. History is also devoid of such core subject matter. They study everything, the whole phenomena in totality. Okay. So if you talk about thus what is happening, they should be, according to him, organized around approach. Thus for him, what was the case? History was arrangement of phenomena in time, while geography was description of phenomena in space. Okay. So what is happening in geography? What is the key? The space, geographical space is the key. So we study everything from spatial point of view. If I am concerned about study of topography, suppose, we know that geology is also studying the same thing. It is also focusing on topography. But how geology and geography comparatively differ? They are different in the sense that geography is more actually concerned with the spatial aspect. Same thing, difference with other disciplines. Like for example, I have given this example in the preparatory lectures. If you see that, suppose suppose I have institute in Karol Bagh and I want my profits to increase, and I hire two people, one an economist and other an economic geographer, to help me out in increasing of my profits. What they would do, if you talk about an economist, what he will do, he will first ask me that give me your ledger books, account books, and he will try to find out from where money is coming, how much coming, where the expenditure is taking place. He will try to cut down the cost, etc., etc. And by this method, what he will try to do, he will try to increase the profits. But what would be the approach of an economic geographer? Economic geographer will not follow this approach. Economic geographer will do what? He will go in Karol Bagh and he will find the tallest building of that region. And from that tallest building, he will try to have a bird's eye view. of how phenomena is distributed in space, and he will try to find out the ideal position where I can ultimately place my coaching or keep my coaching where I can maximize my revenue, maximize my profits. Okay? So, see what is the difference between a economic geographer and an economist. So, geography was, according to Kant, what? It was description of the phenomena in space. Okay. This philosophy, later we will see that in 1950s, this philosophy in 1950s was described by Schaeffer as exceptionalism. Exceptionalism philosophy. ठीक है, so it was Schaeffer who named it as exceptionalism philosophy. So in fact today what we say, Kant is known as father of exceptionalism. So we will see that later on that Schaeffer was very critical of exceptionalism. Okay, and he called this exceptionalism in geography as something which was hindering the development of science of geography. We will see all these things later. We will see, but Kant is essentially referred to as the father of exceptionalism in geography. Okay. So this is a very, very important thing about Kant. So clearly, you tell me, can I say from this can we reach to the conclusion that thus Kant very clearly favored regional geography. Yes or no? Which geography is organized around space? हमने देखा था लास्ट क्लास, आई थिंक वी हैव सीन ऑलरेडी. Do you remember this chart which I drew? Yes or no? So can you see, systematic geography is focused upon what? Systematic geography is focused upon specific subject matters of geography. Yes or no? Tell me. It is focused upon specific themes, specific subject matters. But can I say regional geography, on the other hand, is focused upon space rather than subject matter? Okay? So very clearly when he is saying that it is description of phenomena in space, in other words he is saying that he is in more favor of regional geography. Now when he is saying, can I say that फिर से वही बात आ जाएगी? Does it comes like कि बाहर वाला आया और मतलब someone coming from outside and telling, see, your parents are discriminating against you. ठीक है? They are discriminating against you. So very similar kind of thing appears like it was the case of Verenius. But can we argue here the Kant's case, that how he was not against special geography. ठीक है? You have to understand that when we are talking about Kant, we can say that despite this assertion of Kant, it has to be understood that he was not against systematic geography. Systematic geography. In fact, if you talk about Kant, Kant tried, was a scholar, what he did, he tried to free knowledges from theological shackles. Theological shackles. It is very clear from his one statement he gives, give me matter and I will create universe out of it. ठीक है? I will create universe out of it. ठीक है? सो थोड़ा सा मतलब इस स्टेटमेंट में औकात से बाहर हो गया कांत, बट फिर भी you can understand, you can just try to understand the spirit of this statement. The spirit is very clearly that everything is what? Rational, and everything is determined rationally rather than through just belief systems. ठीक है? So he was for what? He was for rationality. His figure stands for rationality. And if he is simply saying that geography should focus upon regional geography, why he is saying this? Very clearly, you have to understand. What was the motive behind this saying of Kant? So, we can say that thus Kant was never against development of scientific or systematic geography. What was his basic thought? Was that he favored regional geography development because he was aware that with time different sub branches of systematic geography would specialize. So sub branches of systematic geography would specialize and would tend to achieve the status of independent discipline. status of independent discipline. ठीक है, you can understand. Like we already said, अभी हमने बात किया था in 1990s what was happening. Physical geography and human geography, it was like now there will be separation and both of them will become two different independent disciplines. ठीक है, so you can understand in 18th century this person was 17th 18th century this person was predicting that this can happen. So what was a safeguard against these tendencies? Safeguard against these tendencies was that there should be an area where they can synthesize into each other, where synthesis can be achieved. Okay, so Kant felt that space or region is the framework where synthesis between them can be achieved, and thus he favored that geography should develop the regional theme. Can you understand what I am saying? So, Kant believed that a safeguard against such divisive tendencies can be its focus on the regional theme, where synthesis between various branches of geography is achieved. Can you get this? Yes or no? See, one thing you have to understand here, that if you talk about geography as a discipline, if you read your NCERT, class 11, first chapter, NCERT says that geography is a spatial science. It also says that geography is essentially what? It is a integrative science. Integrative science. Okay. So what geography does? See, normally, yesterday also I told you that why we break the phenomena and study, why we are dividing knowledges and studying, because human beings have limited cranial capacity. Okay, our mind can make only certain calculations. You know, that is why we developed supercomputers to make more calculations, fast calculations, but our mind has limited cranial capacity. Okay, and reality is more complex. In reality, everything is interconnected with each other. We gave the example of physical and human, how they are interconnected with each other. Okay? Like for example, take one other example. We have tendency to call some areas as natural. Yes or no? For example, forest areas, tell me, do we call them as natural? Like take the case of Amazon. Are we calling them as natural? Yes or no? Obviously yes. But tell me, is there any part of the world today which is left where the impact of human beings has not reached? There is hardly any place left. Even these natural areas, tell me, will they not be affected by acid rain? Will acid rain would not have affected, or with where the climatic changes we have been creating, would they not have affected these areas? Definitely affected. Okay. So you cannot actually separate what is human and what is physical. We just do this artificially. But if we are doing artificially for the purpose of understanding, it doesn't mean that they are not interconnected to each other. There must be one discipline which should try to reach this integration. And this task is done by whom? This task is done by geography. So what is the essence of geography? The essence of geography is this integration, interrelationship, establishment of interrelationship, understanding of reality as it is. Okay? It acts as a bridge between physical and human. Now tell me, if there is division of physical and human geography, can I say the essence of geography will be lost? Yes or no? Can we say that essence of geography would be lost? Yes or no? Obviously yes. So Kant is very clear, and Kant very clearly says that you have to guard against such tendencies. Okay? And one way how it can be done, one way how it can be achieved is that geography focuses upon the regional theme, because in regional theme, when you are studying a region, for example, let's take, if I am studying a region, suppose I am studying Africa. So I know that Africa is what? Africa is essentially a old plateau. So it is an old plateau which is made up of rocks which are igneous and metamorphic, hard rocks, metamorphic rocks, plus you put that it is the most tropical continent of the world. Continent of the world. What you ultimately get out of this? You ultimately get here forests or dense forests, or you are getting desert areas, or semi-desert or semi-arid areas. These are the areas which you find. Ultimately, this means that Africa has poor soil. It is characterized by having poor soil. Soil is not very good in Africa. This dense forest also means that information reach in Africa has been what? Has been very slow. These harsh conditions imply that Africa, the diffusion of information in Africa is very slow process. Okay. So that means here culture is more tribal. You combine all this and you find that here there is poor agricultural and or industrial development. Ultimately, you get what? The most poor continent of the world. So when I am doing regional geography of Africa, can you see that what I am doing? Am I integrating physical geography, physical elements with each other, and human elements with each other, and physical and human elements with each other? Yes or no? Tell me. Yes or no? So regional geography is a approach where there is integration between various branches. There is synthesis between the various branches, sub branches of geography achieved. And because of this synthesis, what we find that such tendencies, such divisive tendencies would be lower. There is greater chance that such divisive tendencies would be lower. Okay? So, that is one of the basic reasons why Kant ultimately favors regional geography, development of regional geography or exceptionalism. Then is regional geography and general geography same? Definitely नहीं है यार, कैसी बात कर रहे हो? They are same in the sense that their objectives are same, that they are both trying to develop geography scientifically. We'll see later on. ठीक है, but both are different because regional geography approach is different. In regional geography, the approach becomes more space oriented, area oriented. Focal point is area. In general geography, focus point becomes process. Certain geographical phenomena or process becomes the focal point. Okay. ठीक है. So that is one thing which is very very important that we have to understand about Kant. ठीक है. Kant also talks about number of other things, like for example, very important feature of Kant is Kant says that I'll explain you this. So this is the physical reality. Okay, this is the physical reality that is existing. Now, Kant says that always what is happening, there is a mental filter. There is a mental filter, mind filter. Whatever we are seeing, this is what? It is passing through this mental filter. Okay. That means it is not necessary that we are seeing what is reality. Okay. You might have seen sometimes at home, घर पे देखा होगा, that we are trying to find something which we kept, maybe key or something, anything, and we are unable to find. And then we annoyingly go to our mom and say, ki yaar, where is my thing you have kept? And she comes like a magician, and it was there in front of you, but you could not see. How many of you have faced this? Yes, like a superwoman. That means objective reality was same. It was there. But maybe my mind was in a frame or in a state where I was not able to see that. ठीक है? So we'll talk about later about humanism. And humanism, there is very famous geographer Ralph. So once Ralph went to Barcelona, and there he was taking one lecture, and he was talking to, after lecture he was talking to a reporter, and that reporter was asking him questions, he was answering. Suddenly he saw very strange expressions on the face of the reporter. Now Ralph was a very powerful observer of human beings. So he identified this strange expression on the face of the reporter. After he asked him why you behaved, or your that strange expression was on your face, the reporter initially didn't tell, but ultimately told him that he felt like he saw that tramp, the blue tramp. He felt like he saw that blue tramp. Now, Ralph was surprised because it had been decades in Barcelona when blue tram had been stopped. It had been decades. And it was very clear to Ralph that state of mind is a very important phenomenon. Many times we see objects which even do not exist. Like, for example, you talk about during the sleep, when we are in dream. Tell me, don't you think that it almost feels like it is reality? Everything is reality. And you are many times good dreams can come, many times bad dreams can come. Sometimes during good dreams, when somebody wakes you, you are like, "Kyun jagaya? Why you wake me up?" Because it was so real. Especially you can understand for the fags, forever alone guys, how much important that dreams are, good dreams. So in those dreams, what happens? Everything seems to be so real. But when you wake up, it is not there. It is not a reality. So what is actually happening? Kant says that there is a mental filter through which everything that we see is passing through. Okay, and he calls this real thing the objective reality. This objective reality as noumena. This objective reality as noumena. And what we see, because it is passing through the mental filter, what humans see is not noumena, it is phenomena. It is phenomena. Okay? So it is not noumena. Kant says that what is actually noumena, you can never be sure. Whether noumena actually exists or not, you can never be sure. Maybe whatever we are doing, it is just a dream. We are in a deep state of dream. We don't know. Whether it actually exists or not, we don't know. What we do know is what is phenomena. And a phenomena is what? According to an individual. Okay, according to these individuals, because everyone have their own mind. So he says that the science reliance on or saying that you should just study objectively everything is far from reality. Because what is objective reality, what is noumena, you don't know. What we know is phenomena. What we can objective about is phenomena. One thing we can objective about is phenomena. And tell me, can I say that if I am talking about phenomena, if there are different individuals, can I say each of one of them would have their own phenomena? Because they have their own mind filter, mental filter. Yes or no? Tell me. Will they see the same phenomena from their own mental filter? because this mental filter, or the perspective, has developed as the person has experienced his life, his history, and different people have different history, different experiences. Thus phenomena would be what? Different to different people. ठीक है. Thus Kant here is what? Critical of that scientific attitude that when science says that you should just focus upon objectivity. But what is actually objectivity? You cannot define it. You never even don't know what is objectivity. Science is just one way of seeing. This person, suppose I am saying this is science, one person's way of seeing. But there are n number of way of seeing. And to say that only my way is correct is what? It is a narrow perception. There are so many other ways of looking at the phenomena. There can be so many type of phenomena associated with the same phenomena. Okay? But if this is true, then tell me what is this which I am holding in my hand? What is this which I am holding in my hand? It is very clearly stylus or the pen. Now the question arises, so many of you are sitting here and watching this lecture, why everyone then sees this stylus or pen as a pen or stylus? Why everyone is saying same thing? And Kant answers this, and Kant says that what has happened through evolution. I am asking that if phenomena is different for different people, then why everyone is saying this as stylus or pen? Why not someone is saying it is a bat, or it is a hockey, or it is a cigarette? So Kant answers that basically what happens through evolution, several individuals have been what? Have been, or we have been, species have acquired certain genetic and cultural traits. Certain genetic and cultural traits. As a result, all people or individuals belonging to the same species, as a result, individuals belonging to this same species will have a particular way of observing, of observation. ठीक है? And this means that, can I say that thus if we are able to know the thought process of individuals, we will understand the phenomena. Yes or no? We will understand the phenomena. We will be able to understand the phenomena. And this philosophy we will see is referred to as idealism. So Kant very importantly developed what? Philosophy of idealism. Okay? And we will see that, if you remember that behavioral approach, याद है? Behavioral approach I talked about. Tell me. When in geography behavioral approach developed? When in geography behavioral approach developed? It was late modern. Very good. So we'll find that idealism, it forms the basis of behavioral approach. It forms the basis of behavioral approach in geography. ठीक है? So these are the main contributions from Kant. ठीक है? So that is the classical period. Can you now understand why we are calling this period as classical period? So much important foundations of geography were laid during this period. We will see that geography still remains mainly as main approach in geography is regional approach today also. And who was the person who said that regional approach has to be the central theme in geography? It was none other than Kant. ठीक है? Are we certain about this so that I can move? One question I will give you for homework. Verenius and Kant strengthened the dichotomous nature of geography. Comment. Verenius and Kant strengthened the dichotomous nature of geography. Yes or no? You will be able to do this? Already मैंने करवा दिया इसको content. Try to write this answer in as a short note, 150 words. ठीक है? Always remember, हमने क्या देखा है? Whenever you are writing the dichotomy dualism answers, did we see that dichotomy is a negative phenomena which leads to split? Yes or no? Isn't it a negative phenomena which leads to split? While what we said, dualism is a positive phenomena which adds positive things. It is a kind of healthy debate which occurs, due to which we learn so many things. Okay, and we have seen that ultimate objective is always what? Synthesis. Synthesis. So if the question mentions dichotomy or dichotomous, and you have liberty of comment. Comment is what? Where you have been given some freedom to write about that. Agree or disagree with the statement. Okay. So tell me, can I say that I would first part, will I try to first part I'll in my answer, will I talk about that how they promoted, dichotomy or differences, how their work promoted dichotomy or differences. But can I say in the second part, I will have to prove that how they just, it was just one kind of favor they did, but they never ultimately disregarded or disfavored the other. They never were saying that it is only truth. And for them, geography was both. The only thing, because of their preferences. For Verenius, he felt that to preserve the status of geography, what was required, that geography develops as a science. And thus, he is more favoring the general geography, the systematic geography, physical geography. But he is not denying that other part of geography is not geography. Same thing with Kant. For Kant, to ensure the status of geography as a discipline in future, and to make sure that there is no split in geography taking place, he favors regional geography over the systematic geography. But it doesn't mean that he is against systematic geography. He was a person who was always for rationality, for science. So how he can ultimately disfavor the systematic geography where the scientific principles of geography are developed, theories and models are developed. Okay? So can you understand what type of approach you will be taking in this answer? Yes or no? Okay? So that is basically about Kant. Moving on, pre-modern period. So in the pre-modern period, there were two main pillars of geography, Alexander von Humboldt and Karl Ritter. Okay? They were both contemporaries and became two poles of development of geography. Both had differing views on how and what to study in geographical phenomena. Both wanted to understand unity in diversity, that is complete understanding of the geographical phenomena. Okay? So if I talk about Humboldt and Ritter, criteria of difference. So most important criteria of difference was with respect to their approach. And if you talk about Humboldt favored the Humboldt favored the systematic approach, while Ritter was essentially in favor of regional geography. Then if you talk about both of them, the methods of study were different, and methodology, if you talk about, in case of Humboldt, the methodology was more inductive methodology, while Ritter methodology was deductive methodology. It was more deductive methodology. If you talk about subject matter of study, Humboldt was more in favor of, he was more of a physical geographer, and his main area of study was climatology and biogeography. On the other hand, Ritter studied both physical and human geography. Studied both physical and human geography. Their religious views were also different. Humboldt was essentially a agnostic in his views. Okay, that means he was a kind of atheist. Ritter, on the other hand, was a teleologist. He was a teleologist in his views. So, teleologist is someone who believes in God, and I have already talked about this. So, he is theology ki tarah hi, it is more scientific form of theology. So, he believes that everything is like a stage where already a plan, like a play, is set, and we are just what? We are just performers in this grand stage which is being there. So, there is already a plan which exists. Okay? In other words, tell me, does a teleologist, in a way, a teleologist is what? Can we say, in a way, a teleologist is a determinist? Yes or no? He is a determinist. So, he was also, Ritter, if you talk about, was also essentially a determinist, because for him everything is already defined, everything is already pre-decided, there is a law for everything. Okay. So, from here comes the similarity between them. And what was the similarity? Both of them wanted to find one thing. Okay, you will see. Humboldt. So, he was physical geographer, biogeography and climatology was his main area. He was essentially a field geographer. His approach was inductive and systematic. उल्टा लिख दिया है, ये approach इधर होना चाहिए, method इधर होना चाहिए. He wrote a book, Cosmos, and in this book he identified geography as Ardh-Kunde or earth science. Okay, geography was essentially what? Ardh-Kunde or earth science. So, it was very clearly for him, geography was essentially what? Science. So, geography was the means of comprehending harmonious unity of cosmos as a living whole, a unity of multiplicity. He wanted to understand the unity of the cosmos. This is a very important keyword. He wanted to understand unity of the cosmos, that is total understanding of the phenomena. He believed more in systematic approach for achieving this end, and his method was inductive based upon observation. Okay. So, what was the objective of his? It was unity of cosmos. Here, objective was unity in diversity. Unity in diversity. Okay. Can you understand this? What is this unity of cosmos and unity of in diversity? Unity of cosmos, can I say, it means that there is one fundamental law which governs the world. Yes or no? Tell me. There is one fundamental law which is ultimately governing the world or the cosmos. And can I say Unity in diversity is also the same thing. You study diverse phenomena but find out the common things among them, unity among them. So, can we say that both wanted to discover science of geography? Yes or no? Both wanted to discover science of geography. These two words really, as a student, they have haunted me for years. When I used to study perspectives and whenever I come to this chapter, I never understood what is this unity of cosmos, ऐसा क्यों लिखा हुआ है, unity in diversity, why it is written there, and I really couldn't never understand. None of the books actually explain this, what is exactly what they mean by this. And then I kept on reading, I kept on thinking, and I ultimately finally related with number of things which we have studied, the synthesis aspect. When perspective became more clear to me, then I ultimately understood what they are actually trying to say by this unity of cosmos and unity in diversity. They both want to do what? They both want to discover the general laws which govern geographical phenomena. Okay? They both want to discover those general laws. Both are determinist in a different way. If you talk about Humboldt, he is more of an environmental determinist, where environment is governing everything. On the other hand, if you talk about Ritter, he is also a kind of environmental determinist, but he is also a religious determinist. Okay? So, both of them are, the objective is what? Objective is this. In fact, you can understand, if I wouldn't have talked about this, if you just look at this chart, can I say, if someone just read this chart, will he not feel like that Humboldt and Ritter strengthened the dichotomy in geography? They stood for dichotomy in geography. They strengthened division in geography. Tell me. It is very clearly visible here. Okay. So, if you just read them from surface, it would feel like they are very dichotomous in nature. But when you go in more depth and understand them, what they want to say is, both of them objective was to discover the science of geography, the general laws of geography. Okay. So, both wanted to discover the general laws governing geographical phenomena. The difference basically was what? Difference was that they both adopted different approaches and methods to reach the same goal. Approaches and methods to reach the same goal. ठीक है? Are we clear about this? This difference, however, does not imply that they disfavored the other half, the other half of geography, or other half or views in geography. ठीक है. So they were not dichotomous. At best we can say they were dualistic. They had great respect for each other. They were contemporaries. Humboldt was senior. So they had huge respect for each other. And this becomes that they didn't disfavored. This becomes clear from number of things. For example, if you talk about Humboldt, despite favoring systematic and physical geography, what he did, he wrote regional memoirs on Cuba and Mexico, where he also dealt with human geography or human phenomena. In fact, he had great respect for Carl Ritter. In fact, he had great respect for Carl Ritter, who was his contemporary and junior, to him. So that is Humboldt. If you talk about Carl Ritter, in his initial career, academic career, okay, so in his initial academic career, he was a systematic geographer. He adopted systematic approach. Systematic geographer. This becomes clear from his saying that he wrote one statement and says that one must look to the earth for its laws. So one must be looking at the earth. That means one must understand nature, and nature has so many laws, and what you do, you find out those laws from there. Like for example, we have seen plate tectonics law, we have seen climatology laws, we'll see biogeography mein environment, we'll see several laws, carrying capacity laws, all of you know. Okay, so from this statement it becomes clear that he is more of a systematic. He adopted initially a systematic approach, but later he became a regional geographer. And why he became a regional geographer? Because he felt that the whole is reflected in all its parts. Whole is reflected in all its parts. ठीक है. That means if you want to understand the whole, what you do, you study the parts and you will understand the whole. ठीक है. For example, if you talk about phenomena of the world, tell me, can I say that there is a hierarchy in the solar system? Yes or no? Or you take other thing. Let us see. Let us say if you talk about solar system, there is sun, and around sun various planets are revolving. Sorry. Can I say there is centrality in the solar system? Yes or no? Tell me. Centrality in the solar system. If I go with planet, around planet there are moons. So again what we find? Can I say there is same thing, centrality? Yes or no? If I go to even small things like if I go to atom, can I say there is a nucleus and around that electrons are revolving around the nucleus? So can I say again there is centrality? ठीक है. Same thing you take other, like for example take a family. So can I say in head of family is there and other members are like revolving around that head of family? So can I say again there is centrality? Okay. So can you see what is the whole? It is present in all its parts. So Ritter found, or Ritter believed ultimately, that it was easier to study the parts and then reach to the whole, and from there you find the common phenomena and discover one ultimately law, or the general laws of geography can be discovered by studying the region. ठीक है. Can you understand? So can we say even goal of Ritter was to develop science of geography? Thus, even goal of Ritter was to develop science of geography. He also wanted to develop science of geography. ठीक है. So that is one thing. He was not averse to systematic branch. He was not averse to systematic or scientific geography becomes clear in his concept of region. So what he does, he bases his concept of region. No, Ritter was, see, इंडक्टिव देखने में लगता है, ठीक है, बट वी हैव सेड दैट रिटर इज अ डिडक्टिव. हिज अप्रोच वॉज डिडक्टिव. ठीक है. वाई हिज अप्रोच वॉज डिडक्टिव? कैन आई से बिकॉज ही वॉज एसेंशियली अ टेलियोलॉजिस्ट. He had a central belief system. ठीक है. He had a central belief system from where he was drawing everything. And because of that we are saying that he was basically what? He was deductive. उसके लिए everything was actually a planned. There is certain universal truth. ठीक है. So, if you talk about, he was not averse to systematic or scientific geography becomes clear in his concept of region. And what he talks about in his concept of region, he talks about the concept of here unity. You see, he developed the concept of spatial unity. So, in his concept of region, where he developed the concept of spatial unity. Spatial unity. And what was this concept of spatial unity? Spatial unity was of two types: vertical unity and horizontal unity. Vertical unity and horizontal unity. So, if you talk about vertical unity and horizontal unity, here very clearly in vertical unity, suppose I am talking about an area. So, there is various elements in this area. Okay. When I am integrating them, how they are interconnected to each other, that is basically what? Vertical unity. Okay. So, what is vertical unity? Vertical unity is the establishment of spatial relationships among various geographical elements of a region. Like अभी हम अफ्रीका में कर रहे थे, we were doing this in Africa. So that what we were doing, integrating the components, that is basically what? That is vertical unity. ठीक है? Can you understand what is vertical unity? Tell me. Now you tell me, when you are establishing vertical unity, like हम अभी अफ्रीका में we were doing, like I said, for example, let me take one example. I said poor soil. I connected all this, like these things, and I reached to a conclusion of poor soil. How? I'll explain you. For example, you see, in the topography or in the upper layer, what are the elements which you find? The soil, number of elements you are finding. One you are finding is humus. Another element you find is silica. Another you find is bases, and another you are finding is iron and aluminum. 4 elements you find. ठीक है? Now what happens in tropical regions? Tropical regions are warm regions. When there is precipitation taking place and there is water that is going down, infiltrating down, what it does? It carries with itself humus, gets dissolved and it is leached out. Bases would dissolve this water, dissolves carbon dioxide, so actually it is a weak carbonic acid. So bases also leach out of the soil. Silica, property of silica is that it becomes mobile. That means it becomes soluble under higher temperatures. It becomes soluble in water under higher temperatures. So what will happen with silica? It would also be leached out. ठीक है. Now tell me what would be left in the soil? Iron and aluminum? Yes or no? All other nutrients are leached out and iron and aluminum is left. So what is ultimately this iron oxide color का color क्या होता है? What is the color of iron oxide? It is red. So here you will find that there would be formation of red soil. Red soils would be formed. And can you see red soil if bases have been leached out? Tell me, can I say it would be acidic? If bases have been leached out, will it be acidic and poor in nutrients? सीधी सी बात है. So can you see that for integrating topography with climate, for this integration to be done and ultimately reintegrating it with soil, did I needed a scientific principle? Did I required a scientific principle? बताओ मुझे. Without this knowledge of scientific principle, could I have been able to establish the interrelationship between them? No, I couldn't have been able to establish the interrelationship between them. ठीक है. If I was not establishing this interrelationship, can I say my analysis would have remained simply descriptive? Yes or no? My analysis would have remained simply descriptive. And here, when he is talking about interrelationships, can I say he very clearly understand that you cannot develop these spatial interrelationships without the help of systematic branch of geography. Where these principles are developed, tell me. Where these principles are developed, these general principles of geography. It is in systematic branch of geography. ठीक है. So this spatial relationship cannot be established without the systematic principles. So very clearly he is not averse to systematic geography. In a way he is like, he feels like both of them are complementary to each other. ठीक है. Same thing if you talk about horizontal unity. Horizontal unity क्या हुआ? Suppose I am talking about A, B and C. This is one region. So this is region 1. There is a region 2. So there is here X, Y and Z. ठीक है. So can I say, although they both have different characteristics, but can I say there can be some similarities between them, interrelationships and similarities between them? Between them. Can we say that? Tell me. Like अगर सपोज करो कि मैं बात कर रहा हूं रीजन 1 इज अफ्रीका, here it is South America, Very different elements are there, but tell me, are there similarities? Both of them have very harsh climates, harsh physiography. Both of them development levels are low. Both of them have large areas under tropics, deserts. Yes or no? Tell me. Or under savanna or under rainforest. ठीक है, दोनों के रेन फॉरेस्ट लेटर विल सी दे आर वेरी डिफरेंट. Amazon is very different from the Congo forest, but still there are similarities. ठीक है. So tell me, once I have established at one level, I have identified regions. ठीक है. So what I have done here, suppose there is an area, and in this area I have defined, now drawn boundaries. I have established vertical integrity, and on the basis of that I have drawn these regional boundaries. Can I say, but still I can go on to find that some of these, despite differences, can be categorized like this? Yes or no? Tell me. So here becomes A, B, this is your, these are C is both, and here is D. So at first level there was number of them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 regions. But can you see what I did? I divided these 9 regions. Again I found some similarities between them, and I found that in 1, 4 and 6 there are lots of similarities. Thus can I say they can be classified into 1? Same thing, 7 and 8 have similarities, so they are classified as 1D. Here you can see they are D. 2 and 3 are similar, so we are classifying it as one region, bigger region B. 5 and 9 have similarity, so they are C. Okay. So can I say I can keep on finding at this? Now I can try to find what are similarities between A and B, or A and D, or C and D. Yes or no? So what I am trying to suggest here is that actually can I say that there would be presence of hierarchy of regions. Will there be presence of hierarchy of regions? And regions cannot be found just at one level. Regions are found at what level? At many levels, and they are interrelated to each other. So this type of integration when you are doing, when you are trying to identify the hierarchy of regions, it is horizontal unity. Horizontal unity between them. ठीक है. नाम से ऐसा लगता है कि it should be reverse, but it is not. I am very clear about this. Vertical unity is integrating within a single region. Horizontal unity is integration across the regions. Okay? And here also there would be need for the systematic principles of geography. So ये जितने भी concept आज हम पढ़ रहे हैं, you will see that how much they would be very, very useful later on as we move on to the main topics. As we very clearly said, the foundations of modern geography were laid where? In these periods, classical, pre-modern periods. And we will see later people just they develop their own versions of these core themes. ठीक है. So are we clear about Ritter? Can we say that Ritter was also like Humboldt was not against regional geography and human geography? Can we say Ritter was also not against systematic geography? He was also not against systematic geography. In fact, his objective was to develop science of geography. He just favored regional geography over systematic geography because he felt it was easier to find the laws in this manner. Okay, because there is a unity in diversity which is found, because God have created everything like this and he wanted to find this unity. ठीक है. So that is the pre-modern period. Then starts the modern period of geography. And as we have seen, the modern period, number of modern periods were there. For example, we will start with the early modern period. And as we said, early modern, particularly if you talk about the early modern period, 19th century, till 19th century, much of the development was in Europe. But in 20th century, this development, and when I am saying Europe, it is Germany and France mainly. In 20th century, it shifted to United States of America, and Britain also was involved. So it became more Anglo-American. ठीक है. So this is now we are going to talk about how it developed in Germany and France. How many of you are facing problems in understanding the concepts? Tell me. Because now we are going to start with the German school of thought. Okay. Can I say that those of you who have attended the lectures on climatology, geomorphology, or physical setting, or even oceanography particularly, did it not initially also happen with those topics also when we were in the first few lectures? When we were studying the first few lectures, didn't you think that we were facing the same problem? Many things we were not understanding. Tell me. So Vivek put it very clearly, and he says that I am getting, but I don't know what I am getting. So that is the perspectives in human geography for you. Welcome to perspectives in human geography. That is what I said. It is very philosophical. Okay, that is what I am saying. It happened in climatology also. I asked the same question, and did you remember what I told you? I told you that in the initial part, what you have to do, we are just making dots. We are just making dots. And as we progress, what will happen? These dots would get interconnected with each other. and as they get interconnected with each other, what will happen? The true picture would ultimately emerge. Okay. So what is I am here trying to suggest you is you have to be patient with this topic. You have to be very, very patient with this topic. You have to keep your patience. Okay? That is very clear. With respect to the perspectives in human geography. So that is why I am saying please don't get bothered if initially some things are not becoming clear, because they would again come later on, and here just we are building a base, a foundation, so that later topics don't get problematic for us. Okay? Someone is asking, Yogesh is asking, how hierarchy of revisions कहाँ है यार? Hierarchy of regions it is. Hierarchy of regions systematic principle. अभी तो समझाया था यार, क्या नहीं समझ में आया? Tell me. I was simply, didn't you understand this, that without a scientific principle, how you can establish a relationship between two phenomena? There must be a scientific principle behind that, reasoning behind the interrelationship between two different looking phenomena, and where these scientific principles you develop, where you are developing, in which branch of geography you develop these scientific principles, these general principles, like here red soil leaching का principle. Here I was teaching you the phenomena of leaching. Later soil geography में हम देखेंगे this phenomena is referred to as desilication, law of desilication. So tell me, in which part of geography we develop this desilication? We developed it in biogeography, soil geography. And soil geography, biogeography is basically what? It is a systematic branch of geography. Okay. So I hope it makes clear to you. Okay. So that is here. So first we are going to talk about this period where German school and French school, because these were the most profound places where geographical development was taking place. Okay? And difference we will see between them. German school is very clearly what? We can identify it with two things. And most importantly, it is identified with the theme of determinism. It is identified with the theme of determinism. ठीक है? Determinism. And if you talk about another thing it can be identified with is, it is identified with physical geography. Physical geography. On the other hand, we will see the emergence of French school of thought was, here it was possibilism which developed, and here it was the case of your human geography was more emphasized in study. Okay? So on surface you see, can we say that German geography and French geography seem to be very dichotomic? Yes or no? Does they seem to be dichotomous to each other, very contradictory to each other? So in a way, would they have strengthened that dichotomy, dualistic tendencies in geography? Yes or no? They seem to have strengthen that dualistic or dichotomous tendencies in geography. Again, it is your own perception which will tell you what you want to see. If you want to see dualism, it would look to you as dualism. If you want to see as dichotomy, it would look to you as dichotomy. It is up to you, because we will see with this debate which was going on between them, like environmental determinism versus possibilism debate which was going on, what happened? More refined concepts emerged from this debate. Like for example, one important refined concept which emerged from this debate was neo-determinism, that middle path जो NCERT में लिखा हुआ. ठीक है. If suppose there was no debate, if there was no dualism, can I say determinism would have continued to dominate geographical thought? Yes or no? It would have continued to dominate the geographical thoughts. But we find that it is not so. Later on, particularly after Second World War, there was a middle path was trying to be achieved. Okay, tried to be achieved, and there was emergence of neo-determinism. So why it emerged? Because there was a debate which was going on, and ultimately both understood that both have their own pros and cons. So combining the pros, what they did, they tried to remove the cons, they combined the pros of both and ultimately came up with the idea of neo-determinism. Okay? So even if suppose question comes in exam, although this type of question related with the previous topics has not been asked, but because dichotomy dualism is mentioned in the syllabus, you can clearly understand that anytime they can ask you. So suppose there is a question which is there, and this question says, emergence of German and French school strengthened the dichotomous nature in geography. Strengthened the dichotomous nature in geography. Okay. Suppose this question comes, emergence of German and French. German पहले हमेशा लिखना चाहिए because it came first. German and French schools strengthened the dichotomous tendencies in geography. Tell me, what you will be writing if suppose such a question is coming? Okay, we'll see what German has to say, what French has to say, but what will be your approach of writing? Can I say that I would in a way say that there were differences, but ultimately I will agree that these differences were not dichotomies but dualism. Yes or no? Tell me. Can we say that these differences were ultimately not dichotomies? Because many good things emerged from that. These differences, many refined concepts emerged. So we will very clearly only partially agree that there were differences, no doubt. But these differences, to put these differences as dichotomy is not correct. They represented more dualism, dualistic tendencies. Okay? So that is the dichotomy and dualism we will be talking about later. Now, tomorrow what I will do, we will finish this off first. In fact, क्योंकि इसमें I will be just very quick. I just wanted to give you the fundamental base which is there in the classical period and the pre-modern period. Okay, and here because ये तो बार बार आएगा later on, too much it will be coming later on in the themes, main themes that we have to study, the topic of syllabus. So here I will be little bit faster. Okay, I'll just explain few things fast and we'll complete this. Okay, so my advice to you for tomorrow is that please try to read it. I am 100% sure that you will not understand. Maybe you'll not even understand 50% of what it is written. Maybe even 10% हो सकता है मुश्किल हो. But at least what will happen, you will be knowing the names of these people, which is very important. ठीक है, because so many names, Carl Sawyer, Whittlesey, Hartshorne, you see, Schaeffer, all these names we will be using later on. ठीक है. So many people will tell you that you have to read, study so many names in geography, this, that. I would say that you have to study some names, no doubt, but important names. And here we have taken only main important names, which you have to know about their thoughts. ठीक है. सबके पास नोट्स है यार, एटलीस्ट PDF तो है ही है सबके पास. What you talking about? Those who have not got, they have got. We have sent them the PDFs. फालतू की बात मत करो. And you people are like, ठीक है, there might be some delays in some of you who have taken admission now in reaching like that. And yes, Rahul, I'm coming to that. So there might be some delays and might be because of which physically it is not available. Tell me, तुम लोगों के पास बहानों की एक पूरी वो है, excuses. If you come to Delhi to attend the classes, one, you will pay room rent, you will pay for food, you will pay for travel, and after lots of payment you will get very poor quality. Here also no mental peace. Travel in Delhi, you know, tiredness, and I can keep on going. ठीक है, I can keep on going. And out of total this is you'll spend in at least lakhs, thousands में नहीं होगा. Okay, it would be in lakhs you'll be spending. And some of you, if there was no online class, as Balveer says very clearly, he won't be able to even attend. ठीक है. Suppose because of some reason you haven't received the physical copy, यार take print out. कितने रुपए खर्च होंगे? Tell me really, कितने रुपए खर्च होंगे एक प्रिंट आउट लेने में? If you take suppose just print out from your side, how much it would you will be spending? Not even if you talk about out of this lakhs which you would have spent otherwise, you will not be spending even, I would say, 1/15 of this total cost. Yogesh, if you have not got, मेरे को टेलीग्राम करो, मैसेज भेज दो, आई विल सी व्हाई यू हैवंट गॉट. बिकॉज गाइडेंस के सभी लगभग स्टूडेंट्स के पास है. ओनली दोज हु आर न्यू, वेरी न्यू, लाइक ह्यूमन जोग्राफी में एडमिशन लिया है, इट वुड रीच इन अ वीक टू देम. Okay. Now coming to the ALS group. So I am stopping the guidance stream. ओके, एलएस वालों से भी बात कर ली जाए. गुड नाइट टू ऑल ऑफ यू.